This is Hardy Brute with another run of Dungeon Warfare 3. The tower defense with a ton of strategy. Each map has different objectives and each one actually gives you a new unlock. We don't actually have access to the Scythe rune yet, but we do have access to the Blood and the Fort. The Fort rune increases the enemy's health, the Breeze gives you 100 life and makes the game much easier, and the Blood only gives you 1 life. But in order to get all 3 crystals at the end, you can't take damage anyways, so we might as well start playing with it. It'll also give us some soul fragments for the shop, and the runes themselves have individual levels. The higher the level, the stronger the effect, and the more XP boost that you'll get. So let's get it started. They've given you the harpoon trap for this map. It'll attack the enemy, dragging them backwards, sometimes into pits. We've invested most of our gems into the arcane trap, bringing it to level 8, and increasing its base damage to 84%. We also have our first trait for being level 5, and for this map I'm going to choose the increased range. We could also choose the increased damage of 50%, and the increased splash radius that also takes away the armor. And no matter what trait you choose, you still have to pay for the upgrade cost after building the initial building. But let's check out the map. We have a spawn from the top and a spawn from the bottom. They're both going to the right section. There's soul harvesters at the bottom and the top, which generates more income based on the enemies defeated inside. There's also 4 treasure chests, which give you a passive income, and a poison trap only on the top left. The reason I wanted the increased range is so that we can spend more time within the soul harvester's range, and collect even more cash early on. I'm also going to create 2 blocks on the left side, which isn't actually going to change their pathing at all. But as soon as we add the 3rd block, at the entrance to the core, it'll shift all the troops, all the enemies, to the left, and their path will become much longer. So our goal is to create as much cash early on as we can, and because a lot of these maps are mirrors, we're going to do the same setup as the top here, at least till we start getting overrun. And the objective is to also destroy a vault, which I don't see on the map anywhere, so I'm not quite sure where that one is. And we don't have the Scythe rune unlocked, so the only objective that we can complete is to clear the map. We are now being overrun on the right side with very little defense, so let's throw a block down and shift all their focus to the left. The top goes the top left, and the bottom left will go on the bottom left here. So let's start throwing down some harpoons, which will take out 1 enemy every time it attacks, but it actually attacks pretty slowly. We also have the poison trap at the top left, and an emergency boulder at the bottom left, to give us an extra boost as needed. Let's also sell the 2 arcane traps that can no longer target the enemy. We lose 100 gold, but we've probably made more than that from the harvest, and now they're actually being useful in these new locations. So I think we have enough arcane. I would like to put the harpoons on the left here. The longer the chest lives, the more money we can make. So we got lucky there that that guy didn't take it out. But let's put some sword mercenaries, try to keep it alive just a bit longer. And our 2 arcane traps that we made from the original, their seeking and their range actually still makes them useful. Well, let's continue making mercenaries, because the mercenaries that the game gives you to start are slowly dwindling. And if there's nothing to block the enemy, they'll just go straight into our core. And we only have 1 life now. I typically played the map trying to come up with the best strategy so that we wouldn't lose any lives, and we get a flawless victory anyways. So the gameplay isn't going to be too much different. But we'll be getting more XP, and we'll be getting much needed levels for the runes, and dust for the shop. So let's put down a spike, fill out the rest of the harpoons, and we're actually doing pretty good. We've only got 3 more waves, and I like our setup here. We lost 2 chests, but we also maintained 2 chests the entire time. But our income has definitely dwindled from the start. We got a bunch of cash early on. And now the enemy's sending a bunch of tiny, very fast units. So hopefully our mercenaries can stop them, because we're going to lose instantly if just one of them makes it through. The harpoons with a 4-second cooldown are not really equipped to handle multiple little units, but hopefully these spike traps will do some work, and it's not looking too bad. This is the final wave. We still have our emergency boulder, but let's actually use the explosive barrel here. It's going to destroy the barricade, giving the enemies a clear path to the core, but seeing as it's the final wave, it's not actually going to affect us. And just for a safety measure, let's block the path completely. You can block the entrance, and the enemies will just attack the blocks, destroying them to get to the core. So it basically just buys you some time, which is all we needed in that last fight there. So we got a flawless and 3 crystals. We also unlocked the harpoon trap, which I liked a lot because it was very cheap and very effective. We also unlocked the scythe, so we can easily replay that map and get the other objective. Going on to the next map, we have to get a Wrath level 5, which means you speed up 5 waves back to back. And we want an XP multiplier of 2, which currently with all of our runes, we can only get to around 1.6 times. So we need to level them up or find some new runes. The game gives you the grinder this time, which ignores armor, but it needs to charge up after it gets clogged each time. It's a pretty sweet tower. And we're going to switch our arcane to a radius effect and a reduction to armor, because this level has a ton of armored enemies. We're also going to play a very greedy build with the barricade. The level 5 trait gives you 100 gold per round, and the enemies will destroy the barricades on sight if they see them. We have a very short path. We also have a thirsting obelisk to kill enemies within its radius to unlock a vault here in the corner. But the big aspect of this map is the movable floor, which will smash enemies above and below every time you use it, but it can only be triggered 4 times within the level. So let's place our barricades, our alchemy barricades that'll generate cash, and this little safety nook down here. Upgrade them for 1,050 total, and they'll be giving us 100 gold per round. We can also always sell them near the end of the wave to collect some of the cash back as well. But we're going to speed up all the way to wave 7 to generate the Wrath level. Each one gives us 1 more level, and I do believe it caps out at 5, but it actually buffs all of their troops back to back. And the only way we can do this is because we have the big movable floor in the middle. I don't think we'll be able to get the vault this time, but it'll be much easier to do it the next time we play this map, with some more upgrade crystals and some more starting gold as well. We're also generating the kill count bonus. The very first tier gives you 500 gold, and the next tier gives you guards for your core, and I think the third tier gives you even more gold. But you get varying rewards for getting each tier of the upgrade, which is pretty cool. And we've almost stabilized after taking out all those waves back to back. But I still don't think we're strong enough to handle this current wave, so we'll probably have to use the floor 1 more time. But unlike the last level, I remember to use the snare this time, which actually gains damage based on your current world level. So that's actually pretty cool, because it gets stronger and stronger the more you play the game. And now we're approaching the armor waves. They're big, slow units with a ton of armor that reduces the damage they take pretty dramatically. So this is why we chose the arcane trap, because originally we'd be doing 10 damage, but now we're slowly doing 11, 12, 13 after each attack, which still isn't a lot, but it is slowly adding up. And we still have 1 more use of the movable floor in case we need it. But at this point I think we can speed up and go a bit faster. The biggest strength of the armored waves is that it takes a long time to destroy them, so you're not really going to be making any sort of cash while you're fighting them. So you're kind of just stuck with your current build. But we got 1 more wave, and then we can sell our barricades and make like 4 grand. Let's use our final use of the floor, try to stabilize here. And now we can actually sell our barricades, and we can buy a bunch of grinders as well. So we only get 750, but I think it costs us 1,050 to make. But we definitely made more cash than that with the 12 waves. So we need to push off the enemy and leave space for a barricade, because there's something coming up later on that will completely destroy you if you can't make a barricade. So let's make some more arcane towers, do a couple of grinders, and I'm actually going to save the money for the barricade because we are going to need it in just a little bit. But I like the grinders a lot on this level. They just don't help out for what's going to come in a second. But let's keep putting down these snare traps, which do a lot of damage to the armored enemies. And it's not looking too bad. We're lowering the armor. And the big guys that charge, the bulls, they can create a massive issue for you as well. But the mysterious challenger, he's riding a horse, and he'll run straight towards your core through any mercenaries and any units, and he'll make you instantly lose the game, even if you have 20 life. So I haven't been able to beat him yet, but if you block the path, he'll actually stop moving. He does have 400 HP though, and the front units keep destroying our barrier, allowing the mysterious challenger to creep forward bit by bit. But I'm going to keep selling our traps, replacing the barrier as soon as I can, and actually placing some traps underneath the challenger to start doing some damage to him. But he is the real challenge on this level, and I'm not actually sure how much the floating floor does to him, because I never have any uses by the time we get to him. I do know that the boulder does around 100 to him though, but if we use the boulder, it will also free him, and then we'd instantly lose, because we don't have the money to replace it with a barrier. But we're actually doing pretty good here. The big slow armored units are making very little progress, and somehow we've already taken out all the minotaurs. There was only ever 2 of them, but they can break the barriers instantly, freeing the challenger and themselves, and just destroying your entire run. But the main issue with the challenger is that he'll run past all your mercenaries. Ooh, our barrier's almost gone. He can survive like 2 more hits. But we can always sell our arcane here on the left to replace it if we need to. But I think we've actually done it. There's only 2 more armored units, and the mysterious challenger is not moving forward at all. He just doesn't attack. And he's slowly getting worked down. And he got destroyed. I dislike that guy. So we got 3 crystals, unlocked the grinder, which is actually one of my favorite traps. The swarm rune, 10% more enemies, 5% more XP. When a capacity hits 0, releases a toxic cloud that deals 6 poison damage over 6 seconds. That makes the grinder so much better, because usually it has a charge of 30 or 40, and then it goes down to 0 and stops doing damage while it charges, but now it does continuous damage. And we leveled up, getting 13 free gems and more starting gold. I think the starting gold is the strongest effect you can get, because it makes all the other levels that you've played much easier the next time you play them. So let's place the tiles down automatically. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to spend a ton of pink dust to reposition our entire board, but I don't know if you really need to do that. It can just make certain levels much easier. But I replayed the Ruin Passage to get the clear map within 2 minutes. This was the 2nd level we ever played, and it unlocks the ability to put charms on your traps. The charm we got is the explosive charge for the barricade, so that when the barricade dies, it'll explode for its durability to all the enemies around it. A lot of the charms are absolutely free, and it's just an added buff to your traps. The 2nd map we replayed is the Dustfall Mines, trying to destroy the tomb and play with the Blood and Fort runes. The tomb here in the middle actually releases a bunch of enemies if you destroy it, so it can make the map much harder. And we unlocked poison for the dart trap. Darts now deal 4 poison damage over 4 seconds, but it's going to cost us 100 more gold if we use that charm. And the impact hammer. We are mercenaries now in knockback, and increases their health by 30%. That's a very strong buff for absolutely no cost. And poison, I think, cuts through armor, so now we have some options for the armor as well. Let's go on to the next level, the Shifting Gate. We're supposed to complete it in 4 minutes. Play with the Nil runes, but we don't have that one. And now that we have more than 4 runes, because we unlocked the Swarm, our rune board exploded and got much bigger. But let's just take the Blood rune for now, and see what the map has to offer. The game gives us access to the Chain Trap, which will entangle a nearby enemy, keeping it from going away. We finally got our Arcane Trap to level 10, giving us the tier 2 trait. For every 10 units hit, damage is permanently increased by 5%. Combining that with the increased splash radius sounds like a winning combination to me. But we could always increase the base damage by 50%, or increase its range, and the other tier 2s, damage increased by 30% for each level Anima engine, which I'm not sure what that is. Each hit increases the damage of all other arcane traps by 10%. So apparently there's a bunch of different arcane in the game. But let's make sure to have our charms activated, the impact hammer for our mercenaries, and let's activate the toxic meltdown as well. Something cool about the grinder as you level it up, it actually gets cheaper and cheaper, going down 5 gold per level. So I like the grinder more and more. But let's check out the map. We have to defend 2 different cores, from 2 different spawn points at the top. One goes to the left, the other goes to the right. We have quite a few free turrets here at the bottom, so we'd like to create a path downwards to take advantage of them. There's also a shifting platform here in the middle, but I'm not sure I'm really going to use it too much in this fight. You can really only use the ends for smashing, and it's more about shifting the path of the enemies. So let's put our scaling arcane trap here in the middle where it can hit the most enemies. And let's start using some of the grinders as well, which will have the poison damage. And place them on the corners where the enemies should bunch up. And the arcane trap starts at 16.6 damage. And so let's see how much we can actually scale it up. Ooh, and they're going straight for the barriers. This is a new type of enemy. They have explosive barrels on their back. And that's going to make this map much harder if they're going to start destroying the path that we create. So we have to take them out before they get to our barriers, so that the explosive damage doesn't affect it. But we block the core to the left and the right, and now they're going to take the long path down, past the turrets at the bottom. We also have to build 2 dart towers at the top left and right of our cores, because of a new enemy called the Balloon Fighter, that'll float along the river and go straight to your core. They start showing up at wave 7, and a lot of the ground traps we have, like the chain trap and the grinder, don't actually affect them, so they're a pretty annoying enemy to deal with. This was the first time that the game threw a bunch of new enemies at you at the same time, and this map was pretty hard to deal with. But I think I've managed to recover at least till this point, so we can speed up a bit. Our arcane trap is now at 20 damage, up from 16.6, so we're still scaling pretty well. And let's keep putting down grinders to deal with the bleeding that's happening. And I'm not sure we're going to get the 4-minute clear on this one, at least on the first try, because this was the hardest one I'd played so far, at least with our current setup. We could definitely experiment more now that we can see all of the level 10 traits. And our arcane trap is scaling very well, but it still has the issue that it's got a cooldown of 4 seconds. So let's actually put a bunch of chain traps around the arcane trap and help it out. Slow down the enemies, and hopefully can hit more of them before they pass through. And we can continue to scale damage, hopefully to the one-shot territory. But I'd also like a second arcane trap if we could, because it's not the kills that scale the damage, it's the hits from the trap. The chain trap also does damage itself, 1.3, and so not a lot, but every little damage helps. And we're going to need quite a bit of gold to upgrade our second arcane trap. We're already on wave 7, but we should have enough time to get them both online. And I actually like the grinders quite a bit, because the chains are slowing them down, giving them a chance to build up their damage again. Because the ones at the end are spitting the fastest and have the most damage. And you can see a bunch of the 1-1 poison having a pretty big effect as well. So it's a really good combination we got going on right now. We got the first tier upgrade for our arcane, but we need another 600 gold to upgrade the damage scaling. It's currently at 16.6, while our original arcane is at 27.5. And I'm not 100% sure what the health is of all the enemies, but it does one-shot the little guys for sure. And we've passed the 4-minute mark, so we would have had to have sped up at least 4 to 5 waves in order to get that minute mark. But we used our boulder here for the safety, And let's put a bunch of traps underneath it, because we don't have any backups anymore. But we need 100 gold here. And we have just enough for the upgrade. But I'm not sure how much it's going to really scale near the end. But I imagine it could gain at least 10 damage. The chains are slowing them down dramatically, and this is also a new enemy as well. They almost look like pigs, but they have a lot of HP. And unless something crazy happens, like a massive amount of enemies, we seem to be doing pretty well. But the chains are helping a lot. They're still making it to the end though. The right side is much more vulnerable than the left. There's also a thirsting obelisk here in the middle that requires 1,000 enemy deaths. And we just lost another barrier. But it's going to be very hard to do that when they keep destroying our pathing. I think when we get a bit stronger, we get a bit more starting gold, we can come back and try some new strategies on this map. But we used our final boulder here to defend the core, and this is the last wave. So hopefully we have enough to keep them back. Our main turret is at about around double damage now. He only gets 5% per 10 enemies hit, and the scaling was a bit slower than I thought it might be. It could very well be much better just to build more level 1 arcanes that start with the 16.6 damage, rather than just having one super one doing 30 to 32 damage. But it also really depends on where the chokehold is and where the path is. That last guy couldn't even move with all the chains. Felt bad for that last guy. And our blood leveled up to level 2. We got Flawless and we got 3 gems. Unlocked the chain trap. And we didn't get any bonus objectives from that. But that was a very hard map. And we're just shy of hitting level 8. That is very sad. But we got some more cards. That we'll just slap down. And now we actually have 3 plains cards, which transforms into a meadow. The way the land cards work is you need 3 of the same type touching, and then it needs to touch a level as well, and then it'll affect it. So the placement of your levels, as well as the rest of the board, matter a great deal. So our level placement is pretty messed up at the moment. I built a circle of islands because I thought I could buff all of them at the same time, with the spot in the middle, but that's definitely not the case. So we replayed the Grove Vault, got the level 4 Wrath, and the Fort, Swarm, and Scythe Ruin achievement. This was the 3rd or 4th level we ever played. And these fights weren't really all that different from the first time. If anything, they were a bit easier, because we had more traps to play around with. But we unlocked the serrated panels, Push Trap. Push traps always deal damage, regardless of their placement, but now they cost 100 more gold. And the Barricade Bloodstone. Each barricade kill increases its durability by 5%, but it increases the starting gold by 100. And this goes along with the level 5 upgrade, Taunting Whisper. Every 10 seconds it'll taunt a random enemy, doing 200% damage back of the damage dealt to it. So I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more, let me know. And of course, please like and subscribe, because that keeps me motivated to make more videos like this. So I'll see you later.